This series was funded by great viewers just like you over on Patreon. Check out the description or end of the video to hear how you can take part in making the show even more amazing. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goomba here, and welcome back to another episode of Witch Ninja, a series that looks at media's most popular shinobi to see which are good and, which are bad.
You okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just kinda out of it. I mean, I did just get back from my 2-week stay in Japan and the jet lag's still freaking killing me, but I've got some unfinished business that I gotta take care of in this video, because not more than a month ago, I was introduced into what I can only call the weebiest fighting game I have ever seen, Samurai Shodown. Now, don't get me wrong, I am very much aware that this franchise has been around since 1993, but it wasn't until the 2019 reboot that I was first introduced into this alternate fantasy fighting world of Japan, and as soon as I played it, I was hooked. But here's the thing, guys. Alongside the different samurai fighters, Ainu waifus, and Kabuki spearmen, came not one, but 3 different shinobi, and how could I not talk about at least one of them here on Witch Ninja? So I left it up to the patrons to decide which one I was going to break down. But despite the temptation to have me talk about the 1,400-pound Texas shinobi turned bandit, or the blonde-haired, wide-eyed, dog-loving San Fran shinobi Galford, you guys decided to have me break down what I can only call the most stereotypical ninja I have seen in any fighting game, Hattori Hanzo.
Hey, stereotypical or not, this guy's freaking sweet. Sporting his own flavor of Katon no Jutsu, teleportation abilities, various Bushin no Jutsu, and shuriken at the butt, there's certainly a lot to look into when it comes to Shodown's Hanzo. So, with all this in mind, let's just see how ninja Hattori Hanzo really is.
0 out of 10. Hattori Hanzo is not a ninja.
Wait, what?
What, Hattori Hanzo's not a ninja?
But the Bushins and the Katons and the Sharuks!
Look, if you don't believe me, you can ask him yourself.
服部半蔵なら俺だけど。
あれ？
ああ、忍びは親父の代までで、俺はれっきとした武士だよ。
What?
See gang, here's the thing. According to what information I could find, Samurai Shodown designer Yasushi Adachi created Hanzo based on the historical figure of the same name, Hattori Hanzo Masanari. And if such is the case, well, I got some bad news for you guys. Hattori Hanzo Masanari, one of the most influential ninjas that popular media has ever seen, adapted as a badass shinobi in countless video games, anime, and movies, was not a ninja. Period.
But why?
Well, to answer that, we have to answer the question of who Hattori Hanzo Masanari really was.
So, to better understand that question and find its true answer, I'm actually here at Sainin Temple, where Hattori Hanzo Masanari is said to be resting, as well as a couple of his artifacts. So, I'm gonna have a look around and I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Hattori Hanzo Masanari, the Iga Ninja Clan leader who would one day help Ieyasu Tokugawa rise to the shogunate and solidify his legacy for over 250 years, was neither born nor bred in the Iga province. Instead, he was raised in Mikawa, known today as Aichi, as his family served the Tokugawa clan, then known as the Matsudaira. Hattori Hanzo Masanari did not himself practice a great deal of ninjutsu, but was rather one of the most brilliant tactical minds of the late Sengoku Jidai period. And instead of mastering the ways of ninjutsu and espionage, he specialized in the mastery of the Yari long spear. Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it either if I didn't see it with my own eyes. Housed at Sainin Temple, Hattori Hanzo's spear rests, but only as a fraction of its former size. Originally a monster weapon of 14 feet, the legendary weapon was damaged during the bombings of World War II, and now sits at a still impressive 6-foot length. But despite being a samurai and not a ninja, Hattori Masanari did frequently return to his family's home and did grow up to become the leader of the Iga clan ninja, earning him the inherited name of every clan leader, Hanzo. And just because he wasn't a ninja did not mean he didn't know how to use them. Together with his shinobi, Hattori Hanzo performed some of the most impressive acts of the Sengoku Jidai. Such acts include rescuing the kidnapped daughters of Ieyasu Tokugawa from Kaminogo Castle in 1562, saving Ieyasu himself from certain death at the hands of Akechi Mitsuhide after Oda Nobunaga was betrayed by Akechi at Honnoji Temple, spiriting Ieyasu from behind enemy territory to his home in Mikawa using backwoods routes that his ninja would use, as well as fighting for Ieyasu at the battles of Anagawa, Mikatagahara, Nagashino, Odawara, and a bunch of others, using brilliant yet brutal tactics that earned him the name Oni no Hanzo, or Demon Hanzo. But his work wasn't done once the Sengoku Jidai came to a close. Once Ieyasu Tokugawa solidified power, Hanzo and his group of Iga and allied Koga ninja became the Hyakunin Gumi. Iyasu's personal Spec Ops team and bodyguards armed to the teeth with the most advanced technological weapons and armor. Hanzo himself built and guarded the southwestern gate to Edo Castle, which was given his namesake, Hanzomon, or the Hanzo Gate, which, interestingly enough, eventually would also become the name of the subway line that runs from central Tokyo to the southwestern suburbs. But Hattori Hanzo and Demon Hanzo were not the only names that Masanari would receive in his lifetime. When he retired, like many samurai did, he became a Buddhist monk and changed his name to Sainin and actually built Sainin Temple to commemorate Iyasu's son, Nobuyasu. Now, does that at all sound like the Hattori Hanzo of Samurai Showdown?
Well, when it comes to specifics, I suppose not, but if you look at Hattori Hanzo of history and of Samurai Showdown, there's actually a lot more in common here. Sure, the Hanzo of the game is very much a stereotypical ninja and not a tactile samurai, and there's no 14-foot spear in sight. But just like the Hanzo of history, the Hanzo of Samurai Showdown and the Iga clan in which he led were employed by the Tokugawa shogunate, carrying out such duties as assassinating a traitor to Yoshitori Tokugawa's father in Samurai Showdown 5, as well as running information in recon and eventually taking out the demon known as Zankuro Minazuki in Samurai Showdown 1, and let's not forget the classified orders from the Tokugawa shogunate given to Hanzo in Samurai Showdown 4 that has him seeking out and destroying the Dark Castle and its master Amakusa. So yeah, I think it's fair to say there's at least somewhat of a historical connection between the two Hanzos, but it really doesn't matter anyway, because Samurai Showdown's story takes place in 1786, while Hattori Hanzo Masanari died at the age of 55 in 1596, almost 200 years prior to the game's events.
But if Sam shows Hanzo is supposed to be Masanari, then how? Alright, you know what? Screw it, forget it, just throw it out the window, I guess. If SNK doesn't want to make any canonical sense, why should we bother with it? I suppose the only thing there really is to analyze with this guy is his design abilities, and come on man, is he even really that ninja? I'll give Hanzo the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the chainmail under his Shozoku. After all, it is very much true that ninja would wear Kusari Katabita chain armor underneath their garb when combat was inevitable, but a gigantic metal Hachigane headband, a massive red scarf, a ninja toe down the back instead of a kodachi at the hip, and look at the size of those freaking pauldrons. Those gotta weigh at least 20 pounds each. And all this eye-popping gold trim, it really does seem like that Hanzo is breaking every visual ninja rule in the book.
Look, I get it, because as we always say on the show, real ninja wear blue. It's absolutely not fitting of a true ninja to wear this much bulk in black. But during the establishment of Iyasu's reign, ninja weren't really true ninja anymore. As you previously mentioned, when Ieyasu Tokugawa solidified power, Hanzo and the Iga and Koga ninja that were under him were transformed from intel gathering survival specialist shinobi to the special operative Hyakunin Gumi. Stealth and subversion were replaced by more conventional military tactics and arms, and the dark blue Shozoku was replaced by sleek, modern-looking armor. The ninja life of stealthing, intel gathering, and acting covertly was no longer required as the country was finally at peace under a centralized government. Thus, ninja became specialized soldiers of the shogunate. So despite the fact that Hattori Hanzo in-game still behaves like the most stereotypical ninja of all time, his design that emphasizes armored protection isn't so unusual considering the time period and the modern role of ninja under Tokugawa.
Well, speaking of stereotypical behavior, let's wrap up this video talking about Hanzo's various abilities in-game and see how, if at all, they relate to ninja jutsus of history. Starting with the most stereotypically ninja of all, the Ninja Wind Splitter, which, come on man, this is just a basic shuriken. Curiously, this is a mid-air diagonal projectile rather than one launched horizontal on the ground, with different variations of the attack having Hanzo toss 1 to 3 shuriken at his enemy. Despite doing very little damage compared to other abilities, the one thing this technique does really well is disorient. This attack can be done anywhere in the air and can be used in a split second, so what may look like a retreating jump can quickly turn into an out-of-nowhere attack that can really fluster your opponent. Which, you know, in turn feels a lot like how shuriken functioned in real life. See, I don't care what anyone says, unless you pinpoint strike the forehead, spine, throat, or heart, all of which have to be unarmored, a shuriken isn't gonna kill anyone. Maybe if it was poison or bacteria coated it could do some long-term damage, but the blade itself isn't gonna be even close to fatal.
Unlike the almighty Hanafuda card.
But that never really was its purpose of use. Instead, ninja would use them as a distraction. A quick strike to cause moderate pain to the enemy and either escape while the opponent reeled in agony, or go in for a stronger finishing strike. Much in the way that Hanzo players could use the Wind Splitter shuriken to open up an unsuspecting enemy player and then go in for the kill.
Speaking of projectiles, we gotta talk about all this fire that Hanzo's lobbing around. with the most basic iteration being the Exploding Dragon Blast, a ground-based range attack that has Hanzo sending a snaking wave of fire that explodes on contact with his opponent. But curiously, that's not the only flaming ability that Hanzo has. Everything from his whistling strike drop to his weapon flipper to his super move has Hanzo utilizing some sort of blast of fire, which is no pure coincidence, by the way. According to the Iga Ryu Ninja Museum's website, every ninja clan has a specialty, and for the Iga, that specialty was fire. Since materials like sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter were apparently plentiful in the area, the Iga Ninja were able to create all manner of fire-based weapons and tools, such as the Hiya rocket arrows, Umebi explosive mines, Yaku Daiju firecracker strings, individual Bakichiku poppers, and good old-fashioned Horoku Hiya hand grenades. And one would think that the leader of the Iga would have intimate knowledge of their use, right?
Well, let me backpedal just a bit, because we cannot skip over the Whistling Strike Drop itself. This move has Hanzo grabbing his enemy, launching them both into the air, and then spiraling down, smashing his foe's head into the ground. Now, if this move seems a little bit familiar, then good on you, you know your ninja lore. This is the Izuna drop, and it's been used by old school to indie to modern day gaming shinobi for decades. But where does it come from, you may ask? Well, unfortunately, no ninja in history has ever pulled off this near-suicidal stunt. It actually originates from a 1969 anime called Ninpu Kamui Gaiden, where the titular hero Kamui develops the mid-air backdrop technique from watching weasels leap from trees and tackling birds.
Speaking of improbable techniques, let's have a quick look at the various Ninja Cicada larva techniques that Hanzo has in his arsenal. Fancy name aside, these various techniques have Hanzo disappear in a puff of smoke and essentially teleporting a short distance to his opponent to either strike or disorient. This is known as a Shunshin no Jutsu, or blink of the eye technique. Typically, this jutsu was executed by having the ninja toss a type of Metsubushi blinding bomb or a Torinoko smoke bomb at their enemy to stagger their senses, then take off in full haste, giving them the appearance of moving at a great distance in a literal flash.
Finally, last but not least of Hanzo's techniques we gotta talk about are his Ninpo Kage Bushin techniques from Samurai Shodown 4, wherein Hanzo either pulls the good old log-based body double technique or splits himself into two forms and then rematerializing. This ability derives from the more generally known technique as the Bushin no Jutsu.
What, again?
Yeah, I know. Every ninja we've ever covered in this series seems to have this body doubling ability. Historically speaking, there were 3 different ways that ninja were believed to trick their enemy into thinking that the ninja had split themselves into multiple forms, 2 of which Hanzo utilizes in-game. The first being this idea that ninja would dress up logs and straw to create body duplicates and trick guards into attacking them. Seems pretty simple and logical, right? Well, then there's the other hypothesis for the Bushin no Jutsu, where the ninja would move at lightning speed, periodically stopping, thus creating after images of themselves, and yeah, based on the limitations of the human body, I can't help but have a few doubts on the legitimacy of that particular method. Finally, the last example of the Bushin no Jutsu is having 2 or more people dress in the same garb and act identical to each other.
You know, like Genjiro players at EVO 2019. All things considered here, I can't help but give Samurai Shodown's Hanzo a solid 6 out of 10 stars. Is he one of the better examples we've seen in the show? Well, no, considering his canonical time period doesn't make sense with his real-life counterpart. But so much of what he is and does very closely resembles Hattori Hanzo and ninja of history. His loyalty and servitude to Ieyasu Tokugawa, his appearance of a moderately armored ninja mirroring the once shinobi Hyakune Gumi, and his constant use of fire connecting him to Iga specialization all leads me to believe that he's not as bad a ninja as we might think.
I can only bring myself to give him 3. I get the fact that he has a few connections to his historical counterparts, but canonically speaking, he's 200 years ahead of his inspiration, his jutsus just have too much magic and mysticism behind it, and I can't for the life of me understand how he could be that flexible in that much armor. But hey, what do you guys think? Is old Sam Show Hanzo an inspiration to the real deal, or is he little more than ninja hyper-fantasy romanticism? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, a huge thank you to all the patrons that make this show possible. You know, I really did figure you guys would want me to talk about Earthquake. After all, despite being nearly half a ton, he's still technically a ninja. But hey, no complaints out of me. And if you'd like to learn even more about ninja or even Japan in general through your favorite games and anime, be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of the Witch Ninja, Culture Shock, and Yokai Watcher series right here on this channel. But until next time everyone, this is Gaijin Goomba, signing out.